Namaskar and welcome to Indian Diplomacy, show on Doordarshan, India's national television channel about Indian foreign policy, India's international relations and strategic and geopolitical developments in key regions of the world that have an impact on India's rise. Viewers, in this episode, we are taking a close look at the phenomenon of military bases, military infrastructure and military facilities in the maritime domain and what they do to enhance a country's naval power. To discuss this, I have a domain expert joining me in the studio. Let me introduce you to him, Captain D.K. Sharma.
Thank you, Dr. Saab.
Captain D.K. Sharma was former spokesperson of the Indian Navy. He has served with distinction in the Indian Navy for more than 3 decades, has commanded warships and is presently associated with the Bharat Shakti Defense Analysis Forum. Welcome to Indian Diplomacy.
Thank you so much, and it is my proud privilege to be with you to discuss about such an important issue.
So, I'd like you to begin by talking and telling our audiences what are military bases and how do they help the Navy in particular to be able to fulfill its mission and mandate, and what is it that about military infrastructure that is crucial in terms of geography and in terms of the sea lanes. So, please let's talk about the infrastructure and bases and what do they mean, because the general public is only vaguely aware of these things.
Okay, then first of all, I must tell our audience that India has a coastline of almost 7,516 kilometers, and in this I am not including the 2 island territories which are on either side of the Indian subcontinent. That is, first the Andaman Nicobar Islands, and the other one which is of late come into a lot of focus because of the visit of the Honorable Prime Minister, that is the Laccadive group of islands. So, first talking about the coastline and the naval infrastructure which is now coming up. As you all know, we are now looking at increasing the blue economy, which means the trade through the sea routes. Now, once you increase that, which is already 90% of our trade flows through the sea. Now, what it entails is that you have to be strong. Now, becoming strong does not become strong on paper. That means every place has to be guarded. We have to develop infrastructure which not only talks in terms of making some buildings. It is developing the port, having the jetties on which the ships can come, then have the logistics set up over there. So, whether it is armament, whether it is machinery, repairs, storing of things, having houses for the people, administration. So, all this is now step by step it is being increased. Now, if you go to Gujarat, you have Porbandar, you have Bhuj, we have our bases over there. Very recently, Porbandar has now been upgraded. We have made an airport over there. Now, we fly our UAVs from there, our Dorniers fly from there. We have a good amount of jetties over there along with Indian Coast Guard, so that ships can be positioned there and can be deployed fast. You know it, our immediate neighbor, the distance from there is the closest. Then we come to, from Gujarat, we come to Bombay. Bombay is now almost chock-a-block, and there has been a work is going on from last 2 decades that we have shifted lot of focus towards Project Seabird, which is in Karwar, Karnataka. So,
it's the largest military infrastructure.
That is what is coming up, and that is what was lot of things were inaugurated by the Honorable Defence Minister, where he went over there. There is a lot of infrastructure, jetties, and we are talking about making very, very solid infrastructure over there, so that the Indian Navy can all the apples can't be put in one basket. So, they will be all spread out and are away from the perceived threat, so that they can be safe over there and can be deployed safely. Then from there, in between, we have forgotten there is Goa. Goa, the infrastructure has been increased so much. We have put PATIs have been positioned over there. So, we have a very, very strong surveillance arm over there, which looks after the western seaboard. And similarly, we have airport in Visakhapatnam, which looks into the eastern seaboard. And then we have a forward outpost which is in Port Blair. So there is another airport over there, which is, with they are almost 500 kilometers apart. One is in Port Blair and one is on the southern tip of the islands. That is Ines Baz. So we have two airstrips over there from where all types of aircraft of Indian Navy, Indian Air Force can operate. So they are the forward staging posts. So, and then we come south from Goa is Karwar. It is getting developed. Goa, we have now two airports. One is dedicated to the Navy. Mopa is the civil airport. So a lot of traffic has gone there, so that our training and other things can be, be concentrated upon. Then we go further south. In Tamil Nadu, we have Arakonam, from where our long range assets, that is the aviation assets, which we are talking about, the UAVs, the Sea Guardians, they are based over there. Then the P-8I squadron is there. So this is how the infrastructure has come out. Suddenly you find that Maldives is now sitting in the lap of China. Everything they are doing as being dictated. President Muizu is now more towards, agreeing to whatever China is, dictating them. And hence there is a need, because if you find the Chinese footprint over there, you need somebody to monitor them.
And from the Minicoy Island, it's hardly 76 nautical miles to the
80
Maldives.
Kilometers.
Yeah.
The northernmost tip of Maldives and the southernmost tip of Minicoy is 80-90 kilometers. So it is so close. And between them flows the biggest sea lanes of communication. So on which you can...
The 9-degree channel.
The
and all this.
9-degree channel. So Minicoy is north of it, Maldives is south of it, and the whole traffic, 90% of the sea trade, which is coming from either the Persian Gulf or the Gulf of Aden, is flowing through that and going towards India, rounding through Sri Lanka and moving through the Malacca Straits to the South China Sea or Southeast Asia, or for that matter Australia. So these are very important places that you can't avoid them. So the focus has come late, but it is moving very rapidly.
Viewers, talking of INS Jatayu, it's such an amazing asset that India has geographically, that away from our mainland we have these two archipelago, these clusters, Lakshadweep and Andamans, and through them people sometimes say these are unsinkable aircraft carriers, meaning these are real physical territories that we control and with which we can project power across the region, be it with the Maldives or on the eastern seaboard with the Chinese, and there are many other conventional and non-conventional threats we'll talk about. But here is a interesting brief video about the commissioning of INS Jatayu on Minicoy in Lakshadweep, its significance. Let's just watch this video and continue the discussion. So viewers, we just saw this glimpse of INS Jatayu, our latest naval base in the southernmost point of the Lakshadweep archipelago. And coming back to Captain Sharma, you already spoke about its significance. But on the Andaman side also, we have had a tri-services command there, and we have been continuing to upgrade our facilities there on the mouth of the Straits of Malacca, which is of course another major choke point. So please tell our audiences what we've been doing with the Andamans also, and how significant it is and how much strategic value we have given to it in order for it to be a real, that springboard for our Navy to have a blue water presence and capacity in the, not just in the Indian Ocean, but even further east of Malacca into the Pacific?
Well, first of all, I'll tell you about the Andaman Nicobar Islands. The focus over there has shifted actually in the last 10 years. If you all recollect that the Island Development Authority was commissioned in 2017 under the Honorable Home Minister, and the CEO of Niti Aayog is the boss. So now, first what we are doing in Andaman Nicobar is connectivity between the islands, which was not there.
Correct.
Number two, a big step which has been taken and was commissioned recently is the fiber optic cable, which means that communications between the islands, intra-island, and the islands with the mainland, which was a huge setback, let me tell you. But now you pick up the phone or through the satellite communications and the data transfer. This was not there. So this is how we have integrated the Andaman Nicobar Islands with us. And about the infrastructure, phenomenal amount of effort has gone in over there. We have made few airstrips or naval air stations from where we can now operate helicopters. Then we have in the northern portion is INS Utkrosh, which is a which can take a Boeing, which can take that fixed wing bigger aircrafts, whether it is the C-17, C-130J, the fighters or the Boeings. So insofar as civil traffic and the military traffic, it can go there. Great Nicobar, I don't have to tell you, it is the Air Force base, which is always there with us. And on the southern part, INS Baz, which is the southernmost tip, which is just about a stone throw for Indonesia.
Yeah.
So that is where these are the choke points from where we can, really launch solid surveillance, what's happening in our backyard. And now every inch of Indian coast is under surveillance, so that nobody can enter unannounced or nobody can surprise us. So all these are a radar island chain. The radar chain is there, and all this feedback comes to the Joint Operations Center, and also in Gurgaon, where
The
we
Indian
have
Ocean Fusion Center, which we have.
International Fusion Center, IOR, Indian Ocean Region. All the picture is available to you, to the powers that be in Delhi, and also to all the commands. And it is all networks, it was all networked. Anybody can access that information should you have that kind of displays, and that protocols should be available to you. So all the ships, all the naval stations, and wherever it is required, it is all available.
And talking of the emphasis on military infrastructure, naval infrastructure, I have a quote from India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh saying, "We were once known as a landlocked country with seashores, but now we can be seen as an island country with land borders." So in other words, that maritime consciousness that for a long time has been missing in our strategic planning seems to be finally around the corner, and we seem to be investing resources and also thinking into how to project India as a maritime power much more than before, isn't it, Captain?
Well, if we don't do that, that is at our peril. Today, the geopolitical, geostrategic compulsions are dictating few things that you cannot avoid looking out. And you see your biggest enemy is lurking around, because they are taking the advantage, because the seas are global commons.
Yeah.
Nobody can deny anybody a safe passage, or nobody can deny me or Indian Navy to go to South China Sea, or for that matter the PLA Navy to come into Indian Ocean region,
Yeah.
or for that matter any country. Yes, they cannot come into my EEZ and exploit it, but EEZ is
Exclusive
restricted.
economic zone.
Yeah. So that exclusive economic zone is up to 200 kilometers from the 200 nautical miles from the baseline.
Yeah.
What happens beyond that? That is what they are exploiting. So for that, I have to be that much strong. My deterrence should be in place, and that is what India is doing.
And the military infrastructure is part of the deterrence build up that we are doing.
All a build up towards a common cause, that I will ensure that the slocks are not disturbed. I will ensure uninterrupted trade flowing through my area of interest. In Indian Ocean region, if you have any interruption of the trade, what will it talk about the biggest navy of this part of the world?
Yeah.
that what are we doing?
How are we a
So
net
whether it is
security provider? Yeah.
anti-piracy, whether it is, whether it is drug running, whether it is arms running, whether it is human trafficking, Indian Navy or India for that matter cannot allow all this to happen in Indian Ocean region.
Absolutely. So we are the first responder and the preferred security partner, or
And also, sir, for the HADR,
yes,
when there is a disaster,
yeah.
only
Response.
one case I will tell you, Boxing Day tsunami, 2004.
2004.
Within minutes of the earthquake, a 30-meter wave goes and destroys Indonesia, Thailand,
Lanka.
Sri Lanka, India. Who was the first responder? That is what I believe brought Indian Navy to the map of the world. That how swiftly Indian Navy, with the backing of the government, responded and went to each and every place.
Absolutely.
With whatever resources we had, we were there to respond, and that is where it was taken note of by the biggest powers in the world.
And presumably with more bases and forward outposts and all these, we will be able to respond swifter and in a more comprehensive way than
That is
even
what
before.
I was coming to, that more the number of bases, more reaction, sir, you will have a lesser reaction time to respond. Like if I have a good logistics base in Andamans, and should there be a problem in any of our littorals, or for that matter on my coast, you can see how swiftly we can reach, because whatever you may say, the ship will take some time to reach. So if it starts from place A, or if it starts from a place B, which is much closer to that,
Yeah.
but we should have some infrastructure and wherewithal over there. That is what is being spread out.
Absolutely.
And as you know it, from the last 4, 5 years, 7 years now, Indian Navy is mission deployed, which means all my ships can reverse the roles while they are at sea.
It's like a multitasking.
Multitasking,
Yeah, yeah.
because they have got some kind of bricks. Bricks are the big containers that should you require it for, say, some kind of some place it has been solid incessant rains and it is flooded. Now what is required over there? So you have a brick on top of the ship. You go, reach there, open that brick, and you can cater for 10,000 people. Immediate relief, whether it is medicines, whether it is food, whether it is blankets, you name it.
Absolutely.
Similarly, cyclone affected areas, or for that matter, a few years back there was a water crisis, drinking water crisis in Maldives.
In the Maldives, yeah.
So all this is what that is, and we are not charging anybody. We are just doing it because we believe in that security and growth for
And
all.
regional public goods
Yes.
is what Indian Navy is
That is
providing.
Indian diplomacy. We
And
are
that's
there
Indian-
for you.
Very much, especially for the global south. We have been a dependable and reliable partner. Viewers, talking of bases / facilities in other countries, there are some interesting developments. India is entering into defense diplomacy agreements with a number of friendly nations in the maritime domain for us to be able to have access to those countries and to strategic locations in those countries. This was also something is seen as the evolution of a great power or a rising power should be able to do these kinds of things so that it has a longer reach. And one of the countries with whom we are now at a very high level of strategic cooperation is Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. On this, I have a video about an airstrip and a jetty that India has recently built and inaugurated in Mauritius on Agalega Island. Let's watch this and continue the discussion.
India has been proudly partnering with Mauritius in implementing various social and infrastructure projects aimed at improving the lives of Mauritians. The extensive development cooperation is one of the main pillars of the India-Mauritius relationship. Several important projects are currently in different stages of implementation. Extending this enduring partnership to the outer island of Agalega, and upon the request of Government of Mauritius, the Government of India has built an airstrip, a jetty, and support infrastructure and facilities under grant assistance, which are being inaugurated today. These facilities will enhance much-needed air and sea connectivity, strengthen maritime security, and foster socio-economic development of the island and the whole of Mauritius. Bringing Indian development assistance to the doorstep of every Mauritian, the Indian government is now executing 96 community development projects across Mauritius under a grant assistance, enhancing the well-being of all Mauritians, including those in Agalega and Rodrigues. Today, we are dedicating 6 such community development projects of India for the residents of both North and South Islands of Agalega.
So viewers, we just saw what India and Mauritius are doing together for maritime security and for economic growth and development and the social welfare of the people of Mauritius. India is continuing to do a lot for its neighbors, and this is just one example. Coming back to Captain Sharma, Agalega in Mauritius, we also have been discussing with Seychelles for assumption. There are French Indian Ocean territories of the east coast of Africa like Mayotte and Reunion, with whom we have logistics, reciprocal logistics agreement for our navy to be having facilities there. Then you go up further north to the into the Arabian Sea. We have Duqm of the coast of Oman. The Sultan of Oman was in India, and we are continuing to enhance the strategic ties. Then with the Iranians we have Chabahar, which is more like a commercial agreement, but nonetheless has strategic geostrategic value. So if you look at all these, it looks like if you join the dots and make a map, it looks like India is finally stringing together its own chain. Let's call it an island chain. I mean, the Americans used to call it island chain in the Pacific. I don't know what to call it, but it looks like we are doing this with a broader strategy in mind for the entire region on the western side of the Indian Ocean. Then we'll come to the eastern side. So on western side of Indian Ocean, your thoughts on all these countries and the agreements. Why are these countries so open and willing to let us and our navy have access to their facilities? For them, presumably India's presence helps to balance the Chinese shadow.
So first of all, let's talk about, say one by one I will tell you the answers. Agalega, you're talking. Agalega is approximately 1,000 kilometers north of Mauritius. It's a small island territory, 2 little islands. Total area is 25 square kilometers. Population was 300 odd people. But you see how India has gone over there, developed the airstrip, made a jetty. Now the ships can go there. They can support the local population. You see, should there be a medical emergency over there, and if the airstrip is not there, bringing a patient to the nearest mainland is a challenge.
Even in the Maldives, that's what we were doing.
That is what
been made a political controversy. Unfortunately,
they have decided to go the other way.
Yeah.
But the point is not that, and Mauritius has been a very, very old friend. 70% of Mauritian population is of Indian origin, directly, indirectly. And we have a very strong ties with them. We have trade ties, and now we are doing something for our, a kind of a younger brother. So if it is being done, and tomorrow, I don't know whether India will ever use that for, defense purposes, which I don't think so. First is to, help and bring them up.
Support them, yeah. In fact, I have a quote from a defense minister saying, increasing naval power of India is not only to protect us, meaning India, from our adversaries, primarily China, but also to provide an environment of security to other stakeholders in the ocean.
So when they become connected, so their vulnerabilities are reduced. They will have a immediate response mechanism available. But if you are not accessible, how do you do that? So now if India has done something over there, or in future course, like we have our memorandum of understanding and we have signed the contract, and Duqm also. So we have foothold over there.
Now, Captain, I'm running out of time, but let's quickly take a look at the eastern Indian Ocean and towards the Pacific also. It has been said that in decades past we missed the bus because the Vietnamese, it was said, they had offered us Cam Ranh Bay for us to have access and to project power in South China Sea. It has been said that we haven't done enough military defense diplomacy with the Indonesians, which are another major power in the region. But lately we see the Navy is more present, and we are doing more joint operations and also presence and calls and all these things with countries in the Pacific also. And that is of course China's backyard. Like you said, nobody can stop us from being in the South China Sea. So there, can we apply countervailing pressure? Can we even quote unquote acquire military bases there the way we have done on the western side? And what do you think is the future there?
Well, there are a few things which can't be spoken on this, but I must assure your audience that with every littoral, India has extremely good relationships. We are doing bilaterals, whether it is, start from the eastern side, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, you name it, every country we have very, very cordial relationships. You saw all of them in our Milan exercise,
Yes.
which just happened.
Off the coast of Visakhapatnam.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we are the ones who are assuring them that we will help each and every smaller country, whether it is you want infrastructure from us, we will go and provide it. You want ships, you want boats, or you want any kind of help, a bigger nation is there to help you out. So all this is under the ambit of our Honorable Prime Minister's saying
Sagar doctrine.
security and growth for all in the region, and also we are not shying away from being the preferred first responder.
Absolutely. So, viewers, the sum of this discussion with Captain D.K. Sharma is that India has stepped up the plate and has got a more geostrategic and calculated approach to defense diplomacy and military infrastructure and military bases. We are not shying away from the concept of bases anymore. There was a time when we were very defensive and only thinking about our coastal security, but now it's much bigger, and we are developing these blue water naval capabilities, and a lot of the agreements we are doing with friendly countries has a core strategic purpose, which is to counterbalance our number one adversary, which is China, but also more importantly to give choices and freedom and to help maintain the sea lanes of communications for smaller countries in the region whose lifelines depend on tourism and trade. I want to end with a quote which Indian Navy also uses, and which is in Sanskrit and is attributed to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, the great naval empire builder of the Marathas from the 17th century. Jalameva yasya balameva tasya. The one who dominates or rules over the oceans is the most powerful, and that era seems to be coming back. There was a time when land-based warfare and land-based power projection was seen as the way to great power status, but I think now we are returning to a new maritime era where world history is going to be revolving around who controls these spaces, and India is doing its utmost. I want to thank Captain D.K. Sharma for sharing such valuable insights and first-hand knowledge about what we are doing. Thank you so much, Captain, for being on the show.
Thanks, sir.
Viewers, let's keep an eye on India's naval diplomacy and military bases. We are going to try and build more of those, and the world is watching, and the world is looking at it mostly as a benign phenomenon, not as a threatening one, because India provides regional public goods to all the partner countries that are involved. I'll see you again next time. Until then, take care.